So, here are 16 reasons why we suffer from fear based consciousness. This is Goddess on Deck. You know what to expect. Real shit in real time. Nothing more, nothing less. Welcome to my channel. I'm Quashanta. Most call me Q. Thank you for listening. Today's topic is about fear-based thinking and fear-based consciousness. And the lovely Zaza Ali, I have recently listened to her recording on this topic in regards to Black women being kidnapped for sex trafficking, human trafficking, and the fear-based consciousness that is spreading worldwide when it comes to being on the alert, and how we are more so magnifying that fear when we spread it amongst each other. And I have spoken about this many times before, but this time, just last week, I posted this post that you see here. Fear-based thoughts are the root of impatience, and it causes us to operate in a hurry as if we're running out of time. Yet, most of us who are aware and conscious of the fact that time is an illusion, we still operate as if we're in a rush. So we force our thoughts, we force our conditions or our perspectives onto others. So before I go into number 1 through 5, I will give a brief synopsis of my understanding of what our community is about. It's about Black love and perpetuating knowledge of self, being self-aware. However, the reason why I decided to put this audio together is because it has been on my mind quite a bit for the last few months, really during the entire pregnancy. So I decided to go ahead and show you what a loving couple looks like. I didn't use my own relationship. However, I could have. But like any relationship, we're going to have ups and downs. But this picture here was just a general picture of what Black love looks like according to the conscious community, correct? The sister has natural hair. The brother is staring at her beautiful brown skin. He is also brown skin. And so I think sometimes we categorize Black love and we put it in one little bracket that fits our perception of what we consider Black love. And it's caused us to limit our growth based on our own fears. And those fears are based on other traumas that have happened from the beginning of our lives and then throughout. So let's start with number 1, fear of trusting others. Number 2, fear of being vulnerable. Number 3, fear of letting others in. Number 4, fear of not being good enough. Number 5, fear of giving without expectations. Now, a brief synopsis of why this is the case is because it's based on past events, like I mentioned before, when we were traumatized from when we were young. We haven't healed from them, afraid to repeat the same events, and not being totally aware of the fact that we are in control of what we consume and how it will affect our subconscious mind. Also, we're not being fully aware of how we attract many levels of the same pain until we heal. So what I'm doing is basically triggering some thoughts, okay, from within. Everyone has their own story. Everyone makes their own decisions. And we are responsible for taking accountability for our individual decisions. What we fail at is judging each other and judging others based on what we presume to be right or wrong. And that's where we fail as a whole. Number 6, fear of letting go. Number 7, fear of love. Number 8, fear of letting people go. Number 9, fear of rejection. Number 10, fear of failure. The reason why we experience these anxieties towards these changes in our life, these traumas in our life, these past events, the present events, and what we presume to be future events is because of not living in the moment and not being grateful. Having a sense of gratitude goes a long way. When you can appreciate everything that you have in the moment, even the lessons that you learn, it's something that you are to take with you from that point on into your future, whatever that may be. And I think sometimes we're so comfortable playing the victim role that we blame everyone else outside of ourselves to validate how we feel. When you evolve, you'll notice that your feelings change towards certain circumstances or certain situations. They change along with yourself. So some of us aren't grateful for what we have or who we have in our lives. So it affects everyone and everything we do. If you think you have it all, it will be taken away just to see how you handle yourself and how you treat others without it. Also, this is the major point in our lives when we realize who is in our lives unconditionally. And we all will experience this, and this will be that major turning point where or as we evolve, we'll notice that we would need to let a lot of people go. And that's the turning point for us sometimes, is that we're too comfortable to let people go. Sometimes we don't let them go soon enough. So there's certain lessons that we will have to repeat again and again because we're afraid of that change. Number 11, fear of moving forward. Number 12, fear of being wrong. Number 13, fear of being judged by others. Number 14, fear of change. Number 15, fear of time. Now, I concluded that, and this is all based on my perception, you can agree or disagree. It's totally up to you. However, my perception is that it's all because we're feeling uncertain. Is somehow everyone else's fault because we doubt ourselves. We expect everyone to accept us regardless of how it affects others. We can stare at evolution in the eyes and still refuse. Why? Because of our own comfortability. But we do this while also seeking validation from individuals who can't see these faults within themselves. And so I've once shared before that when we choose to keep insecure, doubtful, fearful, miserable, unhappy people in our lives, and when they're in our immediate circle, we fail to elevate any higher than those around us because we are the company we keep. Now, I've saved this one for last because this is a major one in our community. And honestly, all of these ideas can be applied to every ethnic background or every nationality. However, number 16 is fear of sexual and ethnic preferences. Now, this fear is based on judgment, not empathy. Because once again, these are individual choices that others make, and we seem to assume that we have every right to judge someone else's decisions, right? I mean, we all have had those thoughts, preconceived thoughts of why someone chose this person and why they chose that person. why their sexual preference is this or that. And regardless to all of that, the point is that it's still their decision. And I am at the point where um, I've concluded that the point is that if we're going to evolve and love self, okay, and have knowledge of self, then we must be more aware of the fact that by us putting energy or sending energy out towards those that we disagree with, we we are not focusing, and we lack the energy, the proper energy to focus on who we do agree with. Okay? And those we agree with, it should be a snowball effect if we're on the right page. But what I'm noticing within this community is a lot of so called consciousness, but it's all fear based, because we have some that are afraid of, the gay community. We're afraid of them having more rights than blacks. And yes, that does appear to be that way. Yes, they got reparations, things like that. But the point is that we have to take ourselves from the from the system itself. We no longer need to operate from within the system. We're constantly in the position of begging the system to appreciate and acknowledge us. And I think that's where we're going wrong. So if we're going to focus on black love and we're going to focus on black economics, then why not just focus on that and leave the hatred, or at least the appearance of hatred towards others, leave that alone. Interracial dating, same idea. Because if you ask me, I've met and I know of more biracial individuals who stand up with the truth more than some that are mainly black. So I'm starting to really understand that it's all fear based, regardless of what the fear is. So another thought is this. I've noticed that straight women allow gay men to make them feel inadequate, along with straight men allow lesbians to make them feel inadequate. In a nutshell, people feel like they're not good enough. You know, that's really the essence of it. It doesn't matter if it was a straight relationship and someone wanted to date someone else. All of a sudden, they feel inadequate, like they were not good enough for the person. So there's other fears that is all based on all the other fears that I've mentioned already. That's just balled up into this one subject, or these two subjects here. The conscious community fears that we're running out of masculine men. And women think that sensitive men are soft. So they're possibly gay. Then there's men that think that assertive women are too hard and too masculine. So they're possibly lesbian. So if you notice what we're doing, we're projecting our own fears onto each other, and we're damaging our relationships because of our own thoughts, our own perceptions. And these perceptions are based on another person's perspective that we were raised to believe in, raised and manipulated and coerced and persuaded to and taught to treat as accurate. Okay, whether if it's religious based or just opinion based. Either way, these are someone else's thoughts and opinions. Now, we can speak about nature and we can realize that, yes, there's body parts that go naturally with other body parts. However, once again, it's not our decision. Our decision is to play it safe regardless of who we are with. Okay? And if you're not playing it safe with who you are with, okay, then that's still your decision to do so. Also, lastly, energy grows where energy goes. So the more we focus on forcing change on others, the more we ignore the change necessary for us as individuals to make within ourselves. And we become less appealing when we do so. So I'm sharing all of this to hopefully just trigger one to think. I'm not forcing anyone to agree or disagree. It is totally up to you. Okay. I shrug my shoulders. My hands are thrown up like, don't care if you agree or not. Someone needs to start initiating these conversations to trigger more thoughts towards empathy instead of judgment. We all make decisions that we're not proud of, and then there's some decisions that we are proud of. However, we want to make sure that we don't confuse the two between being proud and being prideful, because our pride is deadly. We can judge someone else based on what decisions they have made, and then 5 years later, we're faced with the same exact decision that needs to be made. And then we're asking for empathy from others when we have to make the same decision. And I just really feel like if we're going to speak about traumas, if we're going to empathize with each other pertaining to traumas, and we want to consider what Black love really is, that means that we need to tap into our unconditional way of loving each other, regardless of who we lay down with, regardless of sex, who, whether if it's same-sex relationships or interracial relationships. It does not mean that I necessarily agree with either. However, that's not my choice. It's just not my choice. So I do will that everyone take something from this audio. I did take a little time to put it together. I hope you appreciate it. If not, leave a comment anyway. Let me know what you did not appreciate. At the same time, keep that in mind. We are not in a hurry. There's billions of years ahead of us before this planet even moves that far away from the sun, before we experience another ice age. But at the same time, we have many generations to consider to teach properly, instead of going down this same journey, teaching them how to hate. No one is forcing us to agree with anything. We have to keep that in mind. If you are afraid that the school systems are teaching the children, your children, to accept the LBGT community, then take them out of school. Homeschool them. If you don't agree with the vaccinations that also have many different chemicals that's changing the DNA, then don't vaccinate. If you don't agree with many different things that affect us as a whole, then you yourself take the responsibility to make sure that you and your children and your family are not in that statistic, or that category of people that will be affected. That's the main thing. I mean, and you can share the information, however, with less force, because in marketing, I learned that indifference is key. The less energy you put into a thing, meaning like you just shrug your shoulders, like you don't give a shit what other people decide to do, then the more they consider what you're saying. Because when you speak from force, then you push them away. And if we're going to agree that Black love is something that we all want to focus on to make sure that we feel appreciated and acknowledged and welcomed and listened to and validated, then we don't want to push each other away just because of our differences. If you haven't already subscribed to my YouTube channel, check me out on YouTube, Goddess on Deck. Now accepting one-on-one sessions. You can email me at qthegoddessondeck@gmail.com. Again, that's qthegoddessondeck@gmail.com. And for jewelry inquiries, you can reach me through Instagram, goddessondeck.33, or Goddess on Deck Designs. Okay? And then also follow Goddess of Self-Love Discovery 11. Remember, happiness over everything. Peace.